Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Today's story comes straight from the front lines of your local grocery store, where one shopper learned the hard way that reusable doesn't mean free for all. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Lady tried to steal my reusable bags. Joke's on her, they're literally labeled. So today started off as a simple grocery run, just a quick trip to pick up some prescriptions and a few essential groceries. Nothing fancy. I've done this 1,000 times, and I try to keep things efficient. Like many people, I bring my own bags, specifically a few really nice insulated reusable ones from CA Innovations. They're sturdy, hold a lot, and best of all, they help avoid the extra charges for store bags. These babies aren't cheap, so I went ahead and labeled them properly. On the bottom of each bag, I wrote my name and the last 6 digits of my car's VIN using a permanent paint pen, clear and easy to read, just in case someone got any ideas. Now, the pharmacy in this store is right inside the entrance off to the side. When I got there, I left my cart empty except for my personal bags, out of the way to one side near the prescription counter, not blocking anyone, not in the way. I walked up to the counter, picked up my prescriptions, and had a quick chat with the pharmacist about a dosage change. This whole thing took maybe 3 to 5 minutes max. But when I turned around and headed back to my cart, my bags were gone. I blinked, confused. My cart was still there, now just completely empty. I scanned the area and spotted a woman pushing a cart just a little ahead of me, and there on top of her groceries were my unmistakable insulated bags. I immediately went after her. "Excuse me," I said, reaching into her cart and pulling my bags out. She absolutely lost it. Hey, what do you think you're doing? You're stealing my bags." I just stared at her. "These are mine. You took them from my cart." She looked me up and down and then tried to switch tactics. "Well, you didn't have anything in your cart. You didn't need them. I thought they were abandoned." "Yeah, because I was literally at the counter for 3 minutes," I replied, holding up my prescription bag. By now, she'd escalated to full screech mode. Her voice hit that pitch where people 3 aisles over were probably wondering what drama was unfolding near the pharmacy. She started ranting about how she needed the bags more than I did, how it wasn't fair for me to hoard good quality bags, and even threw in a comment about how I could afford more because I had fancy custom bags. At this point, I spotted a store employee nearby who clearly noticed something was going down and had turned to go flag down a manager. So I let her keep yelling, not saying much. I stood my ground with the bags in hand and calmly said, "You're welcome to keep yelling, but I'd be happy to wait here for store management. The pharmacy counter camera definitely caught you grabbing these from my cart, and since my name and car VIN are literally printed on the bottom of each of these bags, good luck convincing anyone they're yours." She paused for a second and then just turned her cart and bolted like a guilty kid caught with her hand in the cookie jar. Didn't say another word, just walked quickly toward the produce section like the conversation had never happened. A minute or so later, the manager showed up and asked what all the noise was about. I smiled and said, "A woman tried to take my reusable grocery bags from my cart while I was picking up a prescription. When I confronted her, she started yelling that they were hers. I pointed out my name and VIN are written on the bottom of each one, and she ran off." He shook his head and sighed. "Sounds about right for today." He thanked me and then, to my satisfaction, turned and walked in the same direction she'd just disappeared into. I'm not sure what happened after that, but I hope the store gave her a serious talking to. Whether they did or not, I'm just glad I had the foresight to label my bags. It wasn't just about the money, they're mine, and I wasn't about to let some entitled stranger get away with stealing them just because I left my cart unattended for 5 minutes. Lesson learned. Even your grocery bags aren't safe from some people, but a paint pen, a little patience, and standing your ground, that's how you win. You should always mark your reusable bags in some way, even if it's just your initials or something, as it stops the store or anyone else from saying you stole them or make you pay for them again. And our second story. I'm working my section, like you said. About a decade ago, I worked at a well-known bookstore as a seller of books. For anyone not aware, there were sections/duties that people were assigned to during shifts, and it changed frequently. It wasn't uncommon for shifts or duties to be swapped. Relevant later in the story. There had been a recent change in management, and a fresh employee, let's call her Lexa, received a promotion to be an assistant manager despite having limited experience and quite the undeserved chip on her shoulder. Pretty sure she got the job because of her friendship with the departing AM whose position opened up. She was very much a delegator who spent a lot of time hanging out in the back office. I knew Lexa wasn't liked by a few of the veteran employees for the seemingly undeserved promotion. I was a part-timer going to school, so I wasn't invested in moving up or challenging the store leadership. Didn't make much of a difference to me. She and I got along just fine overall and usually exchanged pleasantries with bits of conversation. Until one day, I showed up to work, clocked in, and saw my department was kids. I hated working in kids as it was a Saturday, super packed, and the person who I relieved was terrible at cleaning up whatever section she was assigned to. I called up Lexa and asked her if I could switch with another bookseller who liked working in kids that also just clocked in. Before waiting for an answer, yes, partially my fault, I asked the bookseller if she'd be cool switching with me. Lexa, hearing me ask this question, yells over the phone, "No, you are assigned to kids, so get to your section." I replied with a simple, "Okay." I go to my section, and as expected, it's a disaster. Books on the floor, kids running around, toys strewn about. It was exactly what I anticipated. I got right to work on recovering messed up shelves, making stacks of the books to return to their proper locations, and picked up toys/trash. I was a man on a mission. Wouldn't you know it, but apparently there were some shelves and furniture that needed to be moved around. I get a call on my store phone. It's Lexa, and she needs my help with said task. Mind you, there were enough people on the book floor to help if she also left the back office to get it done. Her tone was much different. She sweetly asked if I can leave kids to go help with the project. Well, kids is a mess. I was diligently working just to keep up with the unrelenting entropy due to the Saturday afternoon crowd. Could I have helped? Sure. Did I have an excuse not to? Sure did. I firmly replied, "Sorry, I'm busy in kids." Nothing more, nothing less. The shift ended and we went to go to the break room post-shift. Lexa talks to all of us and mentions how we need to remember to work as a team. Her demeanor was mildly sheepish and she avoided making eye contact with me. I sat there staring right at her with a dumb look on my face, pretending I don't know she's indirectly talking about me. I did find out from a couple of friends she did help out, which required her actually doing some work instead of hiding out. We never had any run-ins after that, and she moved a couple of months later. In any case, I worked my assigned section like she told me to. On the bright side, I cleaned up kids and organized it so well that the kids lead thanked me the next time we worked together. She tried to reprimand you sheepishly without even looking you in the eye? Damn, she had a negative amount of spine for trying that crap. She already had learned her lesson, obviously. Why was she pretending she didn't get it? And our last story. The pool, the HOA, and the petty president, how I helped flip the whole board. Back in the 90s, my wife and I bought our first real family home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Great schools, tree-lined streets, friendly neighbors, and yes, an HOA. At the time, we didn't think much of it. The dues were low, the rules seemed reasonable, and the board didn't bother anyone. Our three boys were little back then, hyper, loud, and absolute water fiends, so when we finally saved enough, I installed an above-ground pool in our backyard. I followed all the basic neighborhood rules, or so I thought, put up a privacy fence, etc. I even invited the neighbors over for a barbecue to celebrate. Everyone loved it. My boys were outside every day in the summer, laughing and splashing. That was year one. Year two, everything changed. Our HOA president, let's call him Bob, decided he was ready to sell his house and retire to Florida. Suddenly, he started talking about aesthetic consistency and preserving property values. Translation, my pool, which was not visible from the street, was somehow a problem now. Of course, Bob couldn't complain directly. That'd make him look like the bad guy. So he got his buddy across the street to file an anonymous complaint to the HOA, citing unapproved structures and safety concerns. Within a month, I received a letter stating that I needed to submit an application to the Architectural Review Committee for the pool that had already been up for over a year. Okay, I tried to play nice. I submitted the form with photos, a written explanation, offers to add additional screening, and even a statement from the neighbors directly next to me who liked the pool. No one on the board reached out. No questions, no calls, just silence. Then, boom, another letter, denied. Reason, non-conforming with community guidelines. No reference to which guidelines, no specifics, just a cold, formal denial and an instruction to remove the pool. That was the moment I went from cooperative to determined. I started asking questions, lots of them. I found out the ARC had never held a proper vote. One member had verbally agreed with the property manager who had conveniently lost my emails. When I requested meeting notes, I got vague responses and missing pages. When I asked to speak at the next board meeting, they ran out of time. But what really lit the fire? I learned that Bob, HOA Pres Bob, had shown my pool as part of his listing photos when trying to sell his house. Apparently, it highlighted the family-friendly nature of the neighborhood. Yeah, I snapped a photo of the listing before it was taken down. So I went full dad mode. Clipboards, coffee-fueled evenings, and door-to-door chats. Turns out a lot of other neighbors were PO'd too. Arbitrary fines, late responses. One guy got fined for planting a rose bush. Another had to repaint his shed twice because the shade of blue didn't match the community color palette. We organized. I ran for the board along with 3 others. We called ourselves the Transparency Team. We passed out flyers, set up a folding table at the park, and told people exactly what had happened. Election night came, and it wasn't even close. We swept the vote. Bob retired early and angry. The property manager was fired on day 1. The one board member who voted against me, he stuck around for a bit, but we stripped him of any authority and he faded into irrelevance. And the pool stayed. We passed a new policy that allowed above-ground pools if they met safety and aesthetic standards with clear written criteria. Transparency, remember? My kids swam in that pool for another 8 years before we moved. That backyard became the center of every summer, birthday parties, slip and slides, water balloon wars. It was worth every ounce of the fight. Bob's the kind of HOA president everyone dreads. Passive-aggressive, power-tripping, and so obsessed with property values that he forgets people actually live in the neighborhood. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.